there's no way I could ever hurt this lady. She's been hurt enough since she was born. She was brought up in a bad family, and I feel for her. She does not deserve to get any more abuse of any type or kind from anybody.
So you're saying you didn't do any abusive acts toward her?
No, I have not.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did you take the phone conversation?
Because of the fact I've got a basement and everything. I noticed everything getting tightened up in our apartment.
Tightened up? What do you mean by that?
Well, everything was getting tightened up as far as boxed and getting ready to be moved, it seemed like.
That bothered you?
No, it didn't bother me whatsoever. It's just that previous times she has moved, she's taken a lot of my equipment and stuff like that, as far as a Yamaha keyboard and dishes, antiques, and I didn't want her to take my stuff again. This time I caught her. She said on the tape that she is going to move out next Sunday, and she was talking to a friend of hers, which has a very bad drug problem, and it states it on the tape also.
You caught her?
Well, I caught her on a 30-minute tape.
You caught her saying she was going to move out?
Yes.
Doesn't she have good reason to move out?
No, she has no reason. If she wants to move out, I have no problem with that. I want her. I love her so much that if she wants to move out, she's happier with me or without me, that's fine. I don't have any problem with her moving out. Matter of fact,
I want her to be happy with me or without me, you say in her answer.
That's
If she
right.
wanted to leave, I wanted her to do what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to leave for a few weeks, months, whatever it takes to figure out, so be it. She refused to move, you're saying.
Yes, sir.
And then you asked her to leave January, February, and March of this year, and she refused, right?
That's right.
That's interesting. So you're saying that she is trying to completely mislead the court, right?
Yes, she is.
We'll be back with more Judge Joe Brown in a moment.
You're being a no-good slime ball doing what you've been doing here to this woman. You are a pitiful specimen of humanity. You ought to get treatment, counseling, and therapy.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff claims that her ex-boyfriend, the defendant, has abused her for years. The defendant says he never abused her and he's still in love with her. Let's listen in.
I'm looking at your counter complaint. You say she has failed to comply with the rules and regulations and terms we mutually agreed upon in 1994 on the return of our relationship and our living conditions. What in the world is that? Rules and regulations?
Yeah, I pay the rent, and she pays the utilities. Pretty much, I told her, I says, we're going to go by my rules when we live in my house.
Your rules. Now, you were living in her house at first, were you
Yes,
not?
and I went by her rules. And she asked me to leave, and I left. No problem, no questions asked.
Now, you're saying she's been an embarrassment to you, your friends, your family, and your colleagues, and her behavior has cost you plenty?
Since April 9th, yes.
So this is all her fault?
I just wanted her to leave quietly.
So you're the good guy and you were set upon, is that right?
I try to be a good guy, yes, sir.
She's apparently taking you in, but you're asking for $5,000 in damages for back rent, loans, and harassment?
Since she retreated back to me in 1994, yes, I have given her mother loans. I've given her money for cigarettes, gas, whatever she needed, fix her car.
And she's been an embarrassment to you. That's what you're saying here.
Only from April 9th of 98.
Am I supposed to believe you?
I hope I can prove it to you, yes.
This is not typical of you.
This is not typical of me at all, no.
You wouldn't do this kind of thing.
I would not do it to this lady whatsoever. No.
You haven't done this kind of thing before.
No, sir.
I hope you know that you're under oath and that the court has gone about checking your record. This is you. March 87, abuse. April 87, abuse. July 87, abuse. We've got the docket numbers for the cases here. June 90, abuse. June 90 again, abuse. June 90, child abuse. December 90, failure to provide support. April 91, adult abuse. April 91 again, child abuse. October 94, adult abuse. April 98, abuse. That's you, and you're telling me that you've never done this before?
No, sir, I have not.
October 94,
No.
guilty verdict, 1 year probation against your ex-wife. May 95, 2 years probation, suspended jail sentence for abuse of your oldest son. May 98, and that involves the plaintiff here. 1 year probation and a fine. Now that's not you. You want me to believe you? Oh, give me a break.
That wasn't a fine, it was just court costs.
Just court cost, and you've never done this before, and this is not typical of you. That's what you said.
Yes, sir, that's what I said. I'm not.
All right,
I'm not
so you
proud,
just
man.
impeached yourself then. You lied to the court. You said this isn't typical of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cases of this going back 11 years, and this is not typical of you. You know what? You're sick. You got a mental health issue. You see, what the game is the same one a pimp uses. You come in and you find a victim, she doesn't know she's a victim, and you tell her she's no good, ugly, stupid, whatever, and she ought to be grateful and glad that she's got you who cares for her. When you jump her, you beat her, you maltreat her, then she feels like he's only seeing me for what I am. And she sits there and submits to it. Sound familiar, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
It does, doesn't it? And then you take her money and you say, well, I need something out of this for putting up with you. And you say, well, when he slaps me around, he only sees me as I am. That sound familiar?
Yes, sir.
You're tired of that, aren't you?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
And you're being a no-good slime ball doing what you've been doing here to this woman.
Next, the verdict from Judge Joe Brown.
Now, you asked for the wrong things in your complaint, ma'am, but what you're really asking for is punitive damages. In you are a pitiful specimen of humanity. You ought to get treatment, counseling, and therapy. She's getting it for being the victim that she is, for being a person who will put up with somebody who is a predator like this. How disgusting. This is ridiculous. You ought to go home and stare at yourself in the mirror and say, how in the world can you do this? And if you still try to mislead yourself into believing you didn't do it, you really have a problem. Well, let's end this. I tell you what, ma'am, I'm going to find for you in this amount $1 actual damages and $4,999 in punitive damages against the defendant.
This court is in recess.
Judgment for the plaintiff in this case, and the judge giving the defendant a piece of his mind. The plaintiff had said that the defendant, her ex-boyfriend, had abused her on several occasions, verbally and physically. The defendant denied all of it, and then the judge surprised him a little bit. He did some checking and then read off a long list of more than a dozen past abuse cases. We'll find out what both the litigants have to say about the verdict when we come back. Plaintiffs are making their way out of the courtroom right now. Judgment in your favor. Were you surprised at all, ma'am, at the judge's reading off of the list?
No, I wasn't.
What do you think about what the judge had to say today?
I couldn't be happier. I mean, I've been through the court process for too long. It's been so stressful. I'm just glad it's over.
Well, sir, let me talk to you first. You had a lot of things that you apparently wanted to say that you didn't get to inside. What were some of them?
You know, Neva, it sure didn't have to go this far. You know dang good and well I love you and I treat you with the utmost respect. You know that. You don't have to sit there and put me in the ground just like my ex-wife.
I just made some suggestions that you go into therapy. Are you going to do that?
No, I don't need therapy. I know where I'm
yes,
at.
you do.